Hello again. I'm going to talk today about one of my sort of heroes, and he's Charles Wesley. And Charles Wesley was a hymn writer. He and his brother John Wesley were the starters of the Methodist Church in England. They were both Anglican, and they both stayed Anglicans. They were Anglican priests of the Church of England. And why I like Charles so much is that, unlike his brother John, Charles had a happy marriage. And what I always say to people who are considering doing things in the church is that, first of all, you are called to be a good partner, a good wife, good husband, good, however you like to describe it. That's your first calling in life. Your second calling is to your family. Your third calling is to your health. You love yourself. If you don't look after yourself, how can you love other people? And then, of course, you've got your calling to your work, whatever that might be. After that, you're called to other things. And one of them might be called to some sort of ministry in the church. Well, Charles knew this, I think, very much. And he had a very happy marriage with Sally, who was actually half his age when they married, half his age. And people often think that marriages at different ages will not work, but for them, it did work. And it was a great joy. Really, I did not come to realize the wonder of Charles and John Wesley's hymns until I moved north. I grew up in on the outskirts of London, and then I went to Cambridge, and then I went back to London, and then to Lincolnshire. I suppose in Lincolnshire I started to get the sense of the Methodist tradition. But it was when I went to Lancashire that I really came to know about the Methodist tradition and the Methodist hymnology and some of those wonderful hymns. I think one of my favorite hymns is that wonderful one which goes, Amazing love, how can it be that thou, my God, shouldst die for me? And I remember this myself having this sort of experience where it says, my chains fell off, my heart was free, my rose went forth and followed thee. Charles wrote 9,000 hymns, a lot of poetry, and a great blessing. And I wonder if maybe you know some of his hymns. I mean, the Queen Elizabeth, when she died, had one of his hymns, Love Divine or Love's Excelling. And, maybe you'd like to tell me what your favourite hymn is, whether or not it is by Charles or John Wesley. But Charles was married to Sally, half his age, and they had, I think, 8 children, but only 3 lived to maturity. And he died very happily married and stayed with his wife all his life. And so, an example for us to make sure that we realize that our first calling is to that precious person. I know things go wrong and we want to start new lives and so on, and I absolutely respect that. But for me, Charles is a bit of a sort of hero because despite everything, um, he was centered on his wife, his family, who he gave a very good education to his daughter and to his 2 sons, who were great musicians. And so there we are today. Remember the hymns which have been part of your life, and please let me know what they were, or poetry, because of course Charles and all hymn writers were basically poets first and foremost. So continue to be the wonderful person you are, and may God bless you today. Um, know and help others to know that you are important, precious, and much loved.